Hi, I'm Demi Michelle, and you're listening to the Garrett Smith podcast.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 46 of the Garrett Smith podcast. Before we kick things off, I want to thank everybody who's been listening to Volume 1 and 2 out on Spotify, iTunes, Amazon, probably illegally on LimeWire or wherever you get your music. But today we have with us Demi Michelle, and I believe you are calling from Pennsylvania, correct?
Yep, I'm from Pittsburgh.
That is cool because I think the furthest anyone's called in was from Brazil, but I think you just took the second place furthest call. So congratulations. I guess in the U.S., you were the furthest caller I've had call in. How's life up there going? What all have you been up to lately?
You know, things are finally opening up here, so it's nice. I just got my second COVID vaccine a little less than a month ago, so I'm finally been able to go out to dinner. And I've stayed inside. I've followed all of the regulations. So it's been nice to get out. And my birthday was just 2 days ago.
Happy birthday.
And so, yeah, so I recorded for 10 hours at the studio. And then I went out to dinner with my friends and it was fantastic. So things have been great here.
That is quite the way to break out and start exploring life again. Go right back to the studio and dinner. Well, it's so cool to be able to get to go out and do things. You know, Texas opened up a while back. We've been open a couple months, but even then, it's still, business by business, kind of making their own regulations on what you're allowed to do, what if you can wear the mask, not wear the mask, and everything. It's kind of the point where, I had my double vaccine quite a while back. However, everything was still kind of shut down. So getting to go somewhere and just keep the mask in my back pocket and think, okay, if everyone's wearing one, I'll wear one. If nobody is, then we're all good. So it's
it's kind of confusing at this point because some places still require it even if you're fully vaccinated. So I always carry one around just to make sure when I go somewhere, if they require it, I have one.
Well, it's better safe than sorry. But you mentioned that you spent a lot of time in the studio. That's an attention getter. Tell me what all you've got working on right now.
So I just got back into the studio on my birthday, and I recorded a cover of Homecoming Queen by Kelsey Ballerini that I'm planning on releasing at some point. And that song is the reason why I fell in love with country music. So it was really important to me to do my own version. So I recorded that. And then I also started recording a song called Across the Pond that I wrote kind of to thank the UK because they've been so supportive of me. And one day I got super emotionally happy about that. And I wrote that song. So those are the two songs I fully recorded, but my guitarist laid down guitar and bass for two other songs. So it was very productive.
That's really cool. You also recently put out Will I Ever. Tell us about that song.
So Will I Ever is the lead single off my debut album. The album's called Dear Diary, and that's coming in October. And Will I Ever is definitely my most vulnerable song yet because I'm essentially asking the question, why ever know how it feels to fall in love? And that's very deep. And so I feel like it took me a really long time to gain the confidence to release that song because when I started in the industry, with my debut single Into Focus, I wasn't really comfortable yet, not only with my sound, but also being part of the industry itself. And I wasn't ready to completely open up at that time. But over the past couple months, I've kind of realized that if I'm going to be a successful songwriter, then I have to be vulnerable and honest. And releasing Will I Ever was a huge leap for me, but I'm super happy that the song is out.
Well, that's really cool, and it's a good song, and I am actually going to play it right here. This is called Will I Ever.
Will I ever know how it feels to fall in love? 'Cause I've never, will I ever? A spark so bright, a kiss so sweet, the moment when two hearts find their special beat. Love at first sight sounds make-believe, for stories too good to be reality. Oh, I've got a big imagination, but I don't wanna only watch the movies playing in my head. Yeah, I've got a big imagination, but I ask myself one question over and over again. Will I ever know how it feels to fall in love, to fall in love? 'Cause I've never known how it feels to fall in love. No, I've never, will I ever? I fall for dreams, just butterflies. Keep counting my clouds, but they don't add to mine. Yes, Sometimes I think, why do I try? 'Cause these days true love is so hard to find. I've got a big imagination, but I don't wanna only watch the movies playing in my head. Yeah, I've got a big imagination, but I ask myself one question over and over again. Will I ever know how it feels to fall in love, to fall in love? 'Cause I've never known how it feels to fall in love. No, I've never, will I ever? No, I've never, will I ever? The loneliness is really starting to get to me. The hopelessness is really starting to cut so deep. Oh, will I ever know how it feels? Will I ever fall in love? Will I ever know how it feels? Will I ever fall in love? Will I ever know how it feels to fall in love, to fall in love? 'Cause I've never known how it feels to fall in love. No, I've never, will I ever? Will I ever? No, I've never, will I ever? Will I ever? No, I've never, will I ever?
Will I ever? So let's rewind a little bit. Take me through your story as a musician. You know, you mentioned earlier one of your influences that made you fall in love with recording music, and to kind of tell me what all got you started.
So I actually started with piano when I was 10, and that was the first instrument that I truly kind of found a connection with. And so piano has always been my main instrument. And when I was in college, I double majored in music and English, and piano was my instrument of focus. So it's always been piano. And honestly, songwriting never really crossed my mind until I kind of took a step back and was like, okay, I have a music degree I'm getting and a creative writing degree. And putting those together, you get songwriting. So like it kind of happened unexpectedly. So I actually discovered my passion for songwriting my junior year of college when I was very overwhelmed. And so that's when I started exploring that. But overall, with the influences, pop has always been my main genre. And so growing up, I was very inspired by Demi Lovato and Selena Gomez, Katy Perry. And they're still super awesome. I still love them today. But obviously, since I'm into country a lot now too, Kelsey Ballerini is a big one for me, Maren Morris, Taylor Swift, obviously. So I feel like over the years, I've noticed that finding inspiration from different genres has helped me become a more unique songwriter. And it's super cool to kind of reflect back on that and see how far I've come.
Well, that's really cool. What songs of yours would you say, after all that, mean the most to you?
So, okay, so Ellie Will Wait For Me definitely is one of them. And I think it's because that's the first song that I released that was a collaboration. I wrote it with my friend Madison. And when we got on a Zoom and we were just talking one day about like writing a song together, we kind of discovered that we both have strong ties to California. I have family out there and she went to school there. And because of COVID, neither one of us were able to go back in a very long time. And so LA Will Wait For Me came out of that session and we worked on it for a couple of weeks. But like looking back on that, writing that song with her and kind of remembering our favorite memories and talking about the favorite places we love to go to, it was like super therapeutic. And neither one of us really was thinking about doing anything with the song. But as the months went on, I just kept going back to it over and over again. And then I asked her if I could release it. And she said, yeah. So that's definitely one. And I think the second one that's a close tie is Across the Pond, which is one I mentioned earlier. And this is just such a special one to me because I had major confidence issues when I started, and I still struggle with that a little bit. And I think like the support the UK has shown me as a whole, specifically like from interviews they've given me, airplay, and just like overall support that has been constant and just so overwhelming. I just like when I wrote that song, I literally cried when I wrote the song because like I write a lot of most of my songs are very like I write sad songs a lot because songwriting is how I process things. So I usually write really deep, sad, emotional songs. And Across the Pond is the first song that I wrote that was just full of happy emotion. And I think writing that song and realizing that, hey, I can write a happy song that I love and that there are those magical moments in my life that I can pull on as well, not only the sadder ones, really led that song to be very special too.
If you could make a music video to any of those songs, which one would it be?
I would love to make a music video for Will I Ever, and I'm actually planning on doing that. I was talking to my photographer who also does videography, and we're planning on shooting a music video either in July or August. So a music video for Will I Ever is definitely something I'm planning on doing.
That's probably a lot easier than trying to travel across the pond to do a video to that.
I know. Honestly, though, if I ever get over to the UK, I think like a super cool music video I could do for that is just pictures and video clips of like actually meeting all the people over there who supported me and just make it into like a little collage kind of thing. I think that would be super cool for a music video for that song. But yeah, I'm going to start super easy here in Pittsburgh. We'll film here. And I think a music video for LA would be super cool too. But again, I would have to do that in California. And I don't know when I'd be able to get out there. So I think Will I Ever is the best one right now.
Speaking of big plans and things in the future, what are some of the things you hope to do next?
So next is my album, and that's coming. It's finished. We actually finished recording it, and we're mixing it right now. But after that, I just really want to be able to write as much as possible with other songwriters and artists. My main goal is to be a songwriter primarily. And right now, I love to record and release my own music, but my end goal is to be a songwriter for other artists. So that's what I'm looking to do. So I think like constantly working on networking and meeting as many songwriters and artists as I can, continuing to build those relationships. So yeah, that's definitely what I'm focusing on. But I definitely will continue to release my own music. After the pop album, Dear Diary, there's so much country music coming, and I'm very excited for that because like once I fell in love with country, I had this huge phase where like I didn't even write a pop song. I wrote so many country songs, and I still am. So I'm just like really looking forward to when I can release those.
You know, speaking of the Pittsburgh area and just places you've gone, because you mentioned California and Pittsburgh, so that's a pretty big range of places. But what are some of your favorite places you've gotten to perform music?
So I actually haven't performed yet because Into Focus, my debut single, came out right before COVID. So the shows I had booked last year got canceled.
Oh, no.
Yeah, so I haven't actually gotten the chance to perform, but I definitely am planning on performing this summer. I actually just booked my first shows ever in Kirksville, Missouri, which is super random, but my sister is moving there to work for 3 years, and my whole family is going with her to help her move in. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to call some places and let's see what happens. And I actually got some shows, which is super exciting. So I'll be playing in Kirksville and then definitely trying to get shows in Pittsburgh as well. So I think overall, like playing in Pittsburgh is a number one for me. I just really want to perform here because as a whole, I haven't really gotten much in Pittsburgh, like with stations or anything like that yet. So I'm kind of trying to build myself up to being more known in the city, and like getting shows is a very good way of doing that. So I just really am looking forward to when I can finally play here.
Well, that's a good way to do it. I mean, you mentioned Missouri. It's like nobody really has to go on a huge tour. You can just, if you have a trip going, you just kind of play while you're there and you can add it to the repertoire. And it's a pretty good way to build things up on it.
Yeah.
Anyone who's just now hearing about you, where can they follow you and keep track of your music?
So you can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, and you can search Demi Michelle. My handle on everything is at Demi M. Schwartz. So that's DEMIMSCHWARTZ. And I also have an official website, DemiMSchwartz.com.
Well, cool. So the big three questions are, if you could collaborate or write a song with anyone out there, who would it be?
Julia Michaels, for sure. She's my favorite songwriter, and I actually met her a couple years ago when she opened for Maroon 5 on tour. And it was seriously the most special thing ever because she's the reason why I started songwriting. Like when she released Issues, I was like, I want to be like Julia. And so she's been so inspirational, and I look up to her so much. And I think the reason why is because all of her songs are so authentic, and I listen to her songs and I just feel something every time. And that's what I want to be able to do. I want people to listen to my songs and feel something. And so Julia is definitely my favorite songwriter. And if I could write a song with her one day, that would be the most golden day ever.
That'd be really cool. It's always nice when the person you want to collaborate with is somebody that you've actually gotten to meet. I mean, it's pretty rare.
Yeah, I know. I can be like, do you remember when you met me? You probably don't, but here we are now.
You never know. Sometimes people remember the craziest things, but if you could go perform at any venue, where would you go play?
I would love to perform at the Grand Ole Opry in Nashville because, like, ever since I've left country music, that venue is truly incredible. And I think, like, as somebody who is an aspiring songwriter and artist, I think being able to perform there one day would be the coolest thing. So definitely the Grand Ole Opry.
I was just there last week.
Oh, no way.
Well, it's not as cool as it sounds. I went in the gift shop. I was just kind of like passing by. I didn't actually like go in and do the tour or anything. But yeah, we walked up, took some pictures at it, and so we were technically there, but definitely was not performing. But speaking of crazy things, the grand finale question, what is the funniest or craziest story you can tell from music so far?
Okay, so I have a really funny story from the studio. I could probably share like 1,000 funny studio stories because my producer is so funny. But one of the most recent ones that was super funny was when I was recording Will I Ever. I was recording vocals, and my producer Bob always says like hilarious things while I'm recording, and I laugh my butt off. And he said something really funny, and he was actually recording. Like he didn't tell me, like, or he didn't notice, but he was recording while I was like cracking the heck up in the booth. And so we were like comping the vocals, and then we were both like listening because we heard something, and we're like, what is that? And it was me laughing like in the track. And I was like, where'd that come from? Like, I was so confused. And I actually film a lot of my sessions for vlogs, and I actually have this on video, and it's so funny. And it was just so weird because then he soloed it, and just like hearing myself laugh back was like the most awkward thing ever. And then he like wanted to put it in the song. He's like, to me, we're going to use this in the song. And I was like, this is totally not the song for that. Like, where could that possibly go? But we actually like put it in a file, and he's like, we're going to put this in one of your songs one of these days. So if there's ever a laugh in one of my songs in the future, it's the Will I Ever laugh. So that was super funny.
You know, I can totally picture that because the other day, I believe you posted a video on Instagram or Twitter where y'all were laughing in the studio. And so I kind of wondered if that was going to be like one of the stories you told. I was like, I bet we hear about them laughing it up during production.
Yeah, no, it's super funny.
Well, that's great. So we're going to close this thing out with a song, and I'm going to put LA Will Wait For Me here at the end. Speaking of waiting and things coming up, I'm excited to hear the new music you're going to put out soon, and I'll definitely be having to share that on social media and everything. But everyone be sure to give Demi a follow, and we will be looking for your new music soon.
Thank you so much for having me.
Where the glamorous magic is waiting for me. The lights are shining, shining on the runway, with the palm trees swaying as far as I see. Close my eyes, hear the rush of the waves, summer air like a warm embrace. LA is calling my name. No matter how many days grow between us, LA will wait for me. My heart still beats that golden rhythm. LA will wait for me. Every postcard in the mail takes me back to the place I'm meant to be. No matter how many days grow between us, LA will wait for me. LA will wait for me. LA seagulls gliding high over my head. Doing my shopping on rodeo. Daydreaming moments like a movie instead. Yeah, close my eyes, hear the rush of the waves. Summer air like a warm embrace. LA is calling my name. No matter how many days grow between us, LA will wait for me. My heart still beats that golden rhythm. LA will wait for me. Every postcard in the mail takes me back to the place it meant to be. No matter how many days grow between us, LA will wait for me. 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 One day I'll stand on the pier again. One day I'll dance downtown again. One day I'll see the Hollywood Hills again.